welcome to another episode of the Tell Not Show. As always, we are your hosts. We have the fabulous and wonderful Kirsha Fox. She's the author of Son of Deception and The White Leaf Child. She's a homeschooling mom of four, avid reader, and gamer.
And my co-host is Julia J.K. Allen, editor, author, and author coach. She's a fantasy and horror author who loves to put magic in everything. Thanks so much for joining us. B.J.J. Lierz, also known as B.J.J., has trauma-written her way into the hearts of her readers with her debut hypersexual, bisexual, romantic, dark fantasy novel, Soul Sifter. A mom by day and indie author by night. We're so excited to have her.
Hello again.
Yay, you're on. Hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we're very excited to talk with you tonight. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your author journey? What has it looked like, and how did you get started in writing?
Sure. So writing journey. I've been writing since I was a little girl, I think like the fifth grade. I had a teacher that really highlighted my skill, and I latched onto it, and it was a really healthy coping skill for the dysfunction around me. Um, and then I was always kind of a secret writer. I hate saying that, but like I did not tell anyone that I liked writing. Like if I told you, that was like my biggest secret and you don't tell anyone. So this is like, it was huge for me to be able to actually put something together. In my mid 20s, I had a baby, and my husband deployed, and it left me with the opportunity to write.
Right.
And so I wrote a book. It's been a journey. I kind of just disregarded everything that I had been told before about writing and just did my own thing, and it worked out.
Yeah, wonderful. I think that for a lot of people, writing is kind of a great coping skill to get through, like the craziness of life. Yes.
I really resonate with that because I was the same way. When people said, "Oh, what do you do for fun?" I'm like, "Oh, I write." And they're like, "Oh, is it like, what do you write?" And I was like, nothing worth reading. Like,
Right.
Don't have to be
nothing I'm
specific.
ever going to let anyone ever see. And they like that stuff still needs to stay buried, locked away. But at the same time, I feel like it was part of our journey to get all of that kind of out of our system, to slowly like build experience towards something we really felt proud of to show other people. So I like to think of that. That's not wasted. That was like us finding our way to where we.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think our younger selves would be proud of us now.
I think so.
Right. No, that is one thing I will forever be grateful, is that I published a book which was like a childhood dream come true for me. So, yeah.
We absolutely have had to disregard everything we were taught about publishing when we were young. I was interested in writing in high school, and they described the process of querying and like a lot of outdated practices of like, this is the only way you can do it.
Right.
And you finally get there and you're like, I can upload this to Amazon, and it's like,
yeah.
You can just do it yourself, and it's so much easier now than it was when we were younger.
The second I found out that indie publishing was a thing, that self-publishing was a thing, I was on it. I knew that's what I needed. That was for me. It's a game changer.
But yeah, like I wasn't about to let someone else pick my cover, tell me what to cut, what to keep, what kind of story they want to write, me to write. No, it's 100% us.
Right.
If it even gets chosen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy going the traditional route. It has its benefits, like if you can't afford editing and covers and all of that stuff, but I am way too much of a type A personality to not have full control over my stories and everything that's involved with them, including deadlines. Yeah. So, what genres do you write, and why did you choose them?
I say that I write dark fantasy. And really I just wrote a book and passed it along and was like, what do you guys think it is genre? Right. But I have paranormal themes in there. I just write what I like. I've always been interested in the fantasy, paranormal stuff. Also, hold on, like everything I write has to have a love story.
Right.
Has to. I can't do it without.
I totally feel you on the genre thing. I have some friends who describe my writing as cozy, and I was like, I had no idea. I thought it was rather dark.
Right.
I was like, is it actually cozy, or are you just really into some stuff?
Right.
And
That
then I'm like, well, it has romance, but it's not really romance, and it is definitely fantasy, and there's
Right.
some mystery in there too, but I don't know if it's a fantasy mystery. And like, you're like, it's just what it is. I hope you enjoy it.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah. I think that's writing for yourself.
mhm,
Yes. Right. It can be hard to like kind of retroactively fit your story into the genre
mhm.
box. Hmm.
Yeah, labels are helpful because people are like looking for stuff, and they want to know what it is
Right.
about.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes, like these books, they're a little bit of a few different
Everything.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really love knowing genre as a reader, but as an author, I'm like, oh, do we have to genre sometimes? Yeah.
Or discovering that your book falls under a genre you didn't even realize.
Mhm, mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hadn't even heard of like the new adult category
Right.
Oh
until
yeah.
like well after I published my first book.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can mark it as new adult.
Mhm, mhm. So, can you tell us a little bit about your writing process? Like, how do you go from ideas to finished product?
Yes, I actually wrote it down.
Nice.
Okay, so starts with an idea, okay, and then
Okay.
I need to let that marinate for quite some time. I'm praying, hoping that this is not the case with everything, but for my first book, Soul Sifter, I'd been sitting on the idea for like 10 years. Like I'd been trying to write it for like 10 years.
Right.
Okay, so my process after throwing everything out the window is I write the pillars first, what I call the pillars. And those are just the foundation blocks of the story, what the most important things, the scenes in my head that I know are going to be in there. So I get all of that out, and it's just like it's kind of like writing by number, like paint by number, but with writing.
Mhm,
Right.
And then I have to write transitions between
Mm.
those. So creating full chapters. Sometimes they're just like partial scenes that I have to write transitions into full scenes. I hate it. It's the worst. And then it's a full read through to make sure is the whole book there.
Right.
That's an exciting part. Um, and then, and I wrote this down. I threw this in here. I don't know why. Aesthetics video, like a private Pinterest aesthetics video. Oh,
Hmm.
I think it's because I did this for the first one. I wrote the first manuscript, started marketing it, made this aesthetic video, and then was like, oh, I'm missing like all the like creepy, spooky stuff in the
Right.
book that I like felt the vibes for. So I had to go back in and do that. So I wrote that in as part of my process. And then
Yeah.
um, edits. And I don't know if you can see here
edits, edits,
edits.
All the edits.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
edit it
Uh-huh.
until you are ready to throw up from reading your own book.
Too many
Yes. And then,
times. Yes.
yes. And then it goes to my critique partner.
Mhm.
And then I do more edits, and then it goes to beta readers, and then I do more edits, and then it goes to ARC readers. And that is
Very
it.
nice.
That is my
Yeah.
process.
I,
Um, yes.
I was gonna say, I love hearing about processes because I feel like it's something like we all have an idea of how we think we write well, but until you try out new stuff and try to figure out your writing process, um, a lot of times you might be working against yourself. And so I love hearing other people's
Absolutely.
ideas. I've done character or mood boards for stories on Pinterest. Pinterest can be a lot of fun for things like that.
Interest. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I love the idea of doing like an aesthetic video though, as part of your like process of being like, is is the vibes what I want them to be? Like,
I highly
yeah,
recommend. Don't post it,
right,
but
right, yeah. No, that is very, very fun.
Mhm. Sounds like a good way to remind yourself of what you're going for.
Right.
yes.
Because when you start the book to when you finish the book, it can be like a year later or more.
Yes, yes.
You might have forgotten those early roots.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point. Yes.
I mean, I have like the memory of a goldfish, so it doesn't take me very long.
Sure. Yeah, I know, right? I often forget what I wrote yesterday, you know.
Mhm.
So, what do you think is the most important part of writing?
Most important part, it depends. Um, in general, for everyone in general, I think it's to find what works for you. Is like we said, finding your system, what works for you. For me personally, it's probably the marinating of the ideas, allowing
Right.
myself time to actually sit on the ideas and let it play out and not try to force things before they're ready.
Right.
I think that's something that I've been trying to do with the second book that I'm writing, is trying to force it before it's really ready to come out. And it's just led me to burnout.
Yeah, yeah. It's when we get writer's block, it's important to kind of figure out where it's coming from. Are we trying to
Yes.
push the story in a direction that is not working for the story, or are we burned out? Or because finding the solution is going to be very different. You have to find the source of the problem.
Absolutely. Hitting the nail on the head.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the same way, when you try to force it, you end up like just start discarding it anyway because you're not happy
Right.
that it's not what you wanted. Like, yeah, I definitely have to see it in my head before I can then write it. I'm
Me
the
too.
opposite of a pantser most days.
Yeah, yeah. The fun, that's to me, that's the fun part is kind of like when it's percolating. The idea is percolating and you're discovering all the different bits to the world and the characters and all of that. That's the fun part for me anyway.
Me too.
Yeah, so I don't mind if that takes a little bit of time. It's just like daydreaming all day.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, do you start with characters or do you start with plot?
A little bit of both, usually
Hmm.
characters, though. I'm generally pretty character driven, um, but I'm plot heavy.
Hmm.
Um, I would say characters.
Mhm.
I'm a character person.
Yeah, how do you get to know your characters?
Normally through dialogue, and this
Hmm.
sounds bizarre, but with my main character, when I was writing her for the first draft of the Soul Sister, the published book, I was having a hard time getting to know her, getting to know, getting in her head and getting to know her past and everything like that. And so I had like almost like a sit down conversation with her where I like sat down and was like, okay, you tell me what your story is.
Right.
It sounds so strange to say you're like sitting down talking with your make believe characters, but just letting your characters speak to you, speak
Yeah.
to me, getting to know them,
Hmm.
um, how they interact with each other is a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did that
It's
answer the question?
Yeah, it's not as crazy as you'd think. We hear it a lot from other authors that they don't plot, they don't necessarily know what's going on. They just kind of record what the characters are doing and figure it out as they go. Because like to them, the characters are so real and like take on their own life. So
Yes,
yeah, it does
absolutely.
not sound wild at all. Um, so this is one of my favorite questions to ask, but who is your favorite author and what do you think they do well?
Oh my gosh, and that's my least favorite question to answer.
Right.
I,
You don't you
I
don't have
just
to narrow it down to just one. I know it's so hard to pick just one person, but yes, you can.
I okay, well, my go-to for, who's your favorite author, and it's because I've read most of his books, Terry Goodkin.
Mm.
Um, I didn't, and the thing is, I don't know how he was as a person, but
Right.
his books are what really got me into fantasy, and I
Yeah.
really like his writing style. Um, now, okay, now if we're talking like indie authors,
Hmm.
um, I'm gonna say Stella Stevenson because she's
Okay.
the only indie book I've actually fully read.
Yeah.
And that's not because it's just because I can't read, and she's my
Yeah.
critique partner. I love her.
Yeah. What do you think she does really well?
Oh, she writes men very well.
Yeah.
She writes the like kind of brooding man very well. I like that.
Right. I was talking about just the other day that one of my favorite books is Pride and Prejudice and
Yes.
Mr. Darcy. Oh, Jane Austen, why did you do this to me? You know, like Mr. Darcy falls in love and is like, I'm gonna improve myself
Mhm.
to be worthy of the woman that I love. You know what I mean? But I feel like as far as
I love
expectations for like
Darcy.
the book boyfriend, it is so high, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're
Yeah.
talking about the Sword of Truth books, right? Terry
Yes.
Gilliam? Yes, I actually got to meet him in person, or like around 2004 or
Oh
so.
my gosh, what was
Nice.
that
That's
like?
amazing.
I'm pretty sure that Richard Rull is a self-insert character, like because
Oh,
he
okay.
was
Mm-hmm.
What?
personified him. He was
Yeah.
like muscly. Like he was muscled and just very,
Really?
yeah.
That's amazing.
He was just really thrilled. He had like a little gathering of like fans who wanted to meet him. He signed every single book that I brought, wrote
Wow.
messages. He was really,
Yeah.
really nice, took his time with everybody.
Oh,
We asked him
wonderful.
questions at the time because at the time, the can it was just after Pillars of Truth, I think. So we had questions about like where he was taking the series and
Right.
whatnot. Trying to pump him for spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really nice guy. I really
That's
loved
amazing.
all of his early books, like up to Faith of the
Mm.
Fallen. I feel like that was really
Yes.
the best. And afterward, it was like, but like, I
Right.
I
really
agree.
enjoyed. He was the first author I ever like met in person and got my book signed. So
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
That is
Oh
very,
my
very cool.
gosh. Oh,
yeah, but
that's
I
so
was really
cool.
bummed when he died. Like, oh,
Right. Right. No, especially since he seemed like
I
such
found
a
out
nice person.
I found out way after the fact.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Right.
was it was shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a nice guy. So that was a really special experience.
It is always nice when you kind of like they always say like don't meet your heroes. So when you meet them and
Oh
they're
no,
actually like
he
decent
was
people
great.
and you're just like yay. Yes, that's such a nice feeling.
Okay, so sorry, back on track.
Yeah.
No, that was
No,
great.
you're
I'm really
fine.
excited that you're a fan.
Oh yeah,
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 yeah.
no, he had quite a lot of fans. I was really sad what they did with the series, the TV series. So
Yeah.
just
Oh,
the
Yeah.
righteous anger of what
yes.
did you do to these books? It was like,
I
Right.
the second that his mother made an appearance, I pieced out.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
that
I
was
was
a
no.
poor thing. The mom is dead. Like they can't
Mhm.
change that.
Right, right.
Oh,
Oh goodness.
Okay, so what have you learned from the writing process?
ooh, a lot. I've learned a lot about myself.
Right.
I've learned I'm capable of a lot of things, of hard things. I've also learned that the publishing, anyways, not just the writing, but the publishing experience, it's not for the weak. It is hard. It
It
is
is.
so much work. It is so much work. And not only that, but I've also learned that I don't want to say easy, but it's very easy to exploit indie authors, to take advantage of indie authors. You know, there's a lot of people trying to do that. Um, it's the whole thing was a learning curve.
Mhm, mhm.
I mean, like even skills that I've learned. You know, I had to learn Photoshop and InDesign and how to format and everything. It's like you learn so much.
Oh yeah.
And with
I
the
used
right,
InDesign as well, and it had me like tearing out my hair and crying and like, why is it doing that? And
Right.
uh-huh,
took a
blood,
while to
sweat, and
learn.
tears.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Self-publishing is an endeavor for sure, and everything is time or money. Time to learn how to do it yourself with all the headaches and heartaches that come along with it, or money to pay someone else to do it.
yes,
But there's a lot involved that I feel like a lot of authors don't really know until you go through it, right?
Mhm.
What everything
absolutely.
that's involved from like formatting and everything that's involved. Yeah,
And it's a
it
bit
can.
of the darker side of publishing, like all the sharks
Mm,
in the water who are there ready to just rip you off.
right,
Like
right,
Yes.
I found a
yes,
scam artist, like when I was looking for editors. I know another person who paid for an editor, and the editor like didn't do it. Like
Yes.
they ran it through a program and sent it back and like made it
Didn't make
worse.
sense.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. And like, so he'd already paid them. So like, what's he gonna do? He's already lost his money.
Right.
So yeah, you have to be like really careful with who you trust with your book. You don't know if you're giving it to a pirate or not. Like
Yes. And I mean, I will say, like, if you're looking for an editor, always vet them, right? Send them a sample chapter and like see what they're going to do with it before any money or contracts or anything is like exchanged or put in writing. But it's not as scary as some people think it is. Like, I don't think that a lot of people are necessarily like pirating your stories if you're sending it to beta readers and things like that. But I will say that a lot of vanity presses will come and contact you and be like, oh my goodness, we're interested in publishing your story, which is like dream come true, right? So you want to jump in and do it. But I hear a lot in writing groups on Facebook and stuff where people say like, oh, why wouldn't I go with a vanity or a hybrid press, right? Like, I would pay money for an editor anyways or pay for a cover anyways. But the thing you have to keep in mind is they are already making their money off you. They don't care if your book sells, right? So the editing they do is subpar. The covers they do are going to be like, cheap versions of what you can oftentimes spend less money and get better quality products and services doing it on your own and vetting the people rather than getting like the package deal from a vanity press because they've made their money off you. What do they care what that product ends up looking like?
Yeah. Absolutely. The author community is really supportive, but like you got to be careful.
Yeah. But that's the wonderful thing about the writing community is that like it's always a rising tide lifts all boats and not like you're my competition. I'm not going to tell you what you need to know. Everyone's so generous and freely giving with information and their experiences and just supporting each other. I really love it.
Community is amazing.
It is, yes. But yes, stay away from those vanity presses for sure. If you could tell a new author one thing, what would you share with them?
Oh, I wrote this one down too.
Yeah.
You like that? I have, it's okay. I have 3 things. So you can pick one.
Yeah.
First is to give yourself grace. Give 100%. Yourself grace. Next one. Other authors are friends, not food.
Yeah.
Third, when you make the decision to go for it, to write the book, to publish it, or even if you're debating publishing it, ask yourself who and what you're writing for, and then align your goals with those answers.
Yes.
Those are my 3.
I love that, especially the last one of like just figuring out what your goals are will help you figure out what you're doing with that final manuscript that you finish. Yeah, I think that's kind of the conundrum for authors is we want everyone to read our books and simultaneously we want no one to read our books. So yeah, don't let fear stop you, but like also put out a product that you're proud of. I think is my goal.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like don't not do it just because it's scary, but like also, you want to be proud of what you put out. So
do your best. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Absolutely give yourself grace. Like nobody does everything perfect. And
no, I mean even traditionally published books are gonna have those typos they're like cockroaches. They just survive everything. All the rounds of edits, all the proofing that we authors do, like typos are just gonna be in your story. Like
absolutely.
Unfortunately it happens. Yeah.
So I think that is all just wonderful advice.
Yes. Thank you. Really great advice.
All right. How do you make time for writing?
Oh, I don't sleep.
Yeah.
Right. Common answer.
You could probably tell I have bags in my eyes. Yeah, when I wrote the first book, I wrote it when my baby was sleeping. He was a baby at the time, so he took naps during the day, and then I'd write a few hours at night. So I got like 6 good hours almost every day to write.
Right.
He has not napped for over a year, and I'm tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but he starts preschool soon, like a little
Yeah.
summer program, so that will free up some designated hours, some
Yes.
consistent hours. So there's hope soon that I can
Yes.
sleep. But I don't sleep as the answer. That's how I make time.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
It's a
I think
sacrifice.
that, like I said, is a common sacrifice we make.
Yeah.
Because yeah, there's life and there's jobs and there's all this other stuff going on, and then on top of that, the authoring business, right? The business part of being a writer, the
Right.
marketing, the actually publishing it and getting it ready, and all of that
The social
stuff.
media posts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Takes up so much.
Yes. Oh
Yes.
my goodness. Right.
Plus, I get my best ideas at like 2, 3 in the morning. So.
Oh yeah. I try to wake up early and start my day, and my brain is just not operating until noon anyways, right?
Yeah.
Like my prime
Same.
time hours are like 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. That's when my brain's like fully optimal.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the world does not operate on those same hours. So I just do my best with what I have. Yeah.
I am so jealous of morning people who can just get up and function. That must
Right. I know. I know.
is
My sister
amazing.
is
Oh,
that kind of weird creature who she can, when left to her own devices, I think she would be a night owl, but she can train herself to get up and just be functioning in the morning, and I'm just like, how? Yeah.
my husband's
Yeah.
that way.
I just don't get it. But
Okay. What is your favorite part of writing?
The daydreaming.
Hmm.
My favorite part. It's like Kegels. You can do it whenever,
wherever.
doing the
Yeah,
dishes, cooking
yeah.
dinner, cleaning. You just be off in your world. Yeah,
Yes,
that's my favorite
yes.
part.
Yeah,
Everything else
no,
is hard.
I love even just regular daydreaming, but when it's about a story, you can have so much fun with it.
Yes. Yes. Also, like getting it out, I
Yes.
guess.
Hmm.
Feeling that like completion. Uh,
Yeah, that productive feeling of like, I wrote today feels so
Hmm.
nice, doesn't it?
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I
I
love
make
it.
goals every morning just so that I can cross them off for that dopamine release.
I'm a list person myself.
Yes, yes.
Mhm. I
Oh my
like
goodness.
feeling inspired. There's something
Mhm.
singing in your blood, and you're
Yes.
doing that thing that you love, and the story's
Yes,
coming together, and it's new, and it's novel, and it's fresh, and you're just
it's
finding
magical.
what you
Yeah,
need to like create. It's a sort of magic all its own.
it
Yes,
is
it's the best
magical.
feeling.
And when you find your like flow state and you're in your rhythm and the keys are just going, I love that.
I miss
When your
that. I
fingers
haven't
are
had that for a
flying.
while.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I know what you mean though. What is your least favorite part of writing?
Transitions.
Yes.
Basically any forced writing, anything that I'm like not yearning to get out.
Right.
It
The
makes
tedious bit.
deadline. Yeah, it makes deadlines a nightmare. I'm learning that it's really good that I went indie because deadlines are not my
Yeah.
thing. So that's pretty much it. Transitions. Anything
Yeah.
after I'm forced to write, I don't like it.
Right. Right. When you're not feeling that inspiration to just
Yes.
get the story out. Yeah, no, deadlines are kind of a funny thing because it's like either they work for you or they do nothing, or they, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a part of me that's like, deadlines are good because then it keeps me on track for like getting published when I want to, but like at the same time, don't tell me what to do ever. So, deadlines can be tricky. Yeah.
I saw a quote on Threads recently that was like, I love deadlines. They make a whooshing noise as they go by or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
love,
it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
that's a famous
that,
quote.
big
I love the
whoosh. There it
whooshing sound
goes.
they make as they pass
That's it.
me
That's
by.
it. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're right. That's so funny. Douglas Adams, that's the quote. It's from Douglas Adams.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you
Perfect.
for looking that
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, no, he's such a funny
He's so
person.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Um,
well, that deadline's gone. It is what it is. Just
It's, yep, uh-huh. Give yourself grace.
it's
That's all
yes,
you
give
can
yourself
do.
grace.
yes.
I'm like, the book's not done. Like,
Book's not ready. You'll be ready when it is.
not putting it out
Right.
until it's the book it needs to be.
And that's what I think you should do. That's
Mhm.
what, mm-hmm.
What would you say influences your writing?
Everyday life, with like little things like naming things. Okay, like example. My
Mhm.
son had a "Where the Wild Things Are" sweatshirt, and on the back it said "Find me where the wild things are." And I read that, and then I got inspired um, for the wilds in my story, and for calling certain characters wildlings and things. So
Mhm.
just like little things around me, but mostly I would say trauma. That's
Hmm.
Yeah.
probably biggest influence there. It's just my subconscious getting it out in a cool way.
Hmm.
Writing can
Yeah.
be so therapeutic in that way. I absolutely
Yes.
think it's so valuable.
Hmm.
Yes.
It helps your readers
Lifesaver.
resonate with you because we
Right.
all have
Right.
been through a certain amount of trauma, and I feel like it makes our characters more realistic. You know,
Yes.
if you
Absolutely.
have a character who doesn't have a care in the world and there's nothing deeper to them than just day to day,
Right.
you're like, why are you reading the story? It's
Yeah.
great.
Right. Right.
So you talked a little bit about writer's block, and that you've been suffering with it because of a little burnout. But how do you deal with writer's block usually?
There are a few ways. Like there are little ticks, tips, and oh my god,
Hmm.
tips and tricks. Can't even say
Right.
it. They're little tips that like if something's not flowing, if you're just like not getting past something that I learned from the TikTok is change the time of day. Little things
Okay.
like that. I did that
Right.
recently. Um, Also, something that I do and did when I wrote this first book is ground myself from writing. When I get so frustrated with my writing, when it's not flowing, when I'm just
Mhm.
blinking at a screen and I just want to throw my laptop out the window, I'm just like,
Right.
okay, you're grounded. You are not allowed to write for a week. And like at first, it's like, great, little vacay. And then at the end of the week, I'm just yearning.
Itching. Yeah.
Oh my God, to write. Yes, to get it all out. Um, and some people I know, like Jason Duro, he'll write his books in Comic Sans or whatever
Right.
to get the words flowing. So there are like little things you can do. For me, my biggest one is grounding myself from writing altogether.
I love that. Most people have the opposite approach where they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna force myself to get the words out," and then, like Kirsty was saying, you hate the words, you end up deleting them. Grounding yourself is might just be like the perfect way of saying, like,
Mhm.
"Well, writing's
It,
not writing. I'm not gonna write for a week," and then by the
Mhm.
time you are done with that self-imposed punishment, then you're ready to go. Yeah.
it
When you're an
tricks my brain.
oppositional kind of person,
Right.
like being grounded for writing, you're like, how dare you? I'm gonna
Yes.
I'm
yes,
gonna write my
Uh-huh.
pants off when I can. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Write it out of spite. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I
Mhm.
love that. Yeah, no, that's such a great idea.
Yeah.
I like the changing the time of day thing. I've done something kind of similar, which we've talked about in previous shows, of writing from another character's perspective that wouldn't have book time, right? Like it wouldn't be
Ooh,
from their point of view, just because it forces you to look at things from a different angle, and you can oftentimes really shake loose all of the stuff that you haven't been able to figure out because
I
you're
like
seeing it
that.
from such a fresh perspective. But something like changing the time of day or changing a little detail, I think would do the same thing, as far as just like shaking it up, to make it a new idea of
Mhm.
what you can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I love that.
What has been your most significant writing victory so far?
Besides publishing a book,
Mhm.
I'd say my first fan mail. I
Oh
um
yeah,
I framed it. I need to get a better frame for it, but I
yeah,
framed it.
I
So it
love that.
came with a letter, and at the end of the letter it said, "Now I speak to you, reader to author. Fuck you, B.J.J. I loved
Right.
every minute of this journey, and I can't wait for the next." And what I think is so funny
Oh
is
yeah.
when I was writing this book, I'd write certain scenes, and I would kind of like giggle to myself, and I was hoping that readers would get so like upset that they would be like, "Fuck you" to me.
Right.
So it
Right.
was so great to have someone write me a letter and that says
Yes.
"fuck you."
Yes.
Yes.
That right there is like my New York Times bestseller award. That was
Right.
perfect. I
Right.
made it. That was it.
Yes. No.
Got
You're.
what I
Yes.
wanted.
That is amazing. I think getting fan mail period is like the goal. Hmm.
Yeah.
It
But
was
when the fan
it's
mail is
amazing.
exactly what you were hoping it would be.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's I manifested or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
I have a whole folder on my desktop, like that, where I keep screenshots of nice things people
Yeah.
have said to me about my books. And it's nice to go in there when I'm feeling down and like when I'm like, I'm gonna quit. Like I go in there and I'm reminded that there are people who like love these books and they would be really
Yes.
sad to not figure out what happens to these characters. And
I'm one of those people. Yeah.
so I
I
absolutely love
love
that you have that
that.
framed and like that it
Mhm.
said the words that your soul needed to hear.
Oh yeah.
Yes, how validating.
Like over the
Yeah,
words.
right.
Yes.
I love that idea. Can I copy that idea? Can I
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep a
That's
folder on your computer.
brilliant. Does that help with your
Yeah.
imposter syndrome?
It does. It does a lot.
Okay.
It does a lot.
Excellent. I think that might be what I
Right.
need.
Like,
That's something a lot of authors struggle with, the imposter syndrome and feeling like you're not good enough, right?
mhm.
But you are. You're going to be someone's favorite author someday.
That's the dream, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're already getting fan mail saying like, "Screw you! I love these books, but how
Yeah.
could you do that to me?" You know? So
Yes.
yeah,
You
love that.
inspire so much emotion. They sent you a letter. Like,
That's
Yes, yes.
I've made it.
And I really want to encourage readers out there everywhere to send fan mail because authors do have imposter syndrome, and getting a letter like that might keep them writing.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
even a DM. Send a
Yes.
message. Let us
Yes.
know.
mhm.
Comment, leave a
Anything.
review. Yes.
Tell us
Love
anything.
that. So, what are you reading right now?
Currently, nothing but children's books.
Right.
I don't have the time,
Yes.
and any time that I do have goes
Goes
to
to
writing.
writing.
Yeah. I have a mountain of books of a
Right.
TBR. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know. I've read about one chapter of all of them, so I feel like that counts for something.
Probably around age 7, you might get a few books in until they get to like all the preteen activities they have to do, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
7 till 11 is your best bet.
I think with how verbal my little one is, it might be like
Right.
teens.
Right. Yeah. Wait until they don't want to talk to you anymore, right?
There you go. Then I can read.
Yeah. Then mom gets reading time back. Yay.
Silver lining.
It is
Right.
really hard to find time to read when you're a
Yes.
writer.
Oh,
Yes. Right.
yeah.
And then they feel bad because people are like, "Do you want to read my arc?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." And then I'm like, "Oh, geez, you did
But
it
when?
again. You don't have
Right.
this."
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Except for those few authors that are like, "I'm going to drop everything and read your book." Like,
Yeah.
there's only a few, but
Yeah.
uh,
I love when you have an author like that. You're just like, everything is getting paused for this book. I love that.
mhm. Goodbye, family. I will miss you.
Yeah. I'll see you in a few days.
You can
Survive
have
until then.
cereal for dinner or a sandwich. Go for it.
Right. Just survive, and I'll see you in a few days.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any writing advice that you hate? Either it just doesn't
Um,
gel or you think it's like too broad.
Pretty much anything with absolutes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it specific ways I don't vibe with at all. It's
Right.
mostly because my brain doesn't work that way. I read Stephen King's On Writing when I was like 21, and it devastated me
Mm-hmm.
because I just the advice that he gave was like if you want to publish books, if you want to be an author, you have to be consistent, you have to do it every day. And I was at a
Yeah.
point of kind of self-realization, like, oh, that's not me. And so I
Mhm.
stopped writing for years, like four
Yeah.
years. Um, but once I just threw everything out the window and just
Yes.
found what worked, that was what I needed. So anything with absolutes,
Yes.
just
Yes.
any you have tos, this is the only ways, it doesn't vibe with
Mhm.
me.
Yeah, no, Stephen King is a very prolific author. He writes a lot, he writes every day, but I feel like if you have any type of neurodivergency, that
Yes.
advice is just never going to work for you.
Yeah.
And there's a number of other situations where like that advice is going to be more harmful than helpful.
Mhm.
And so I would agree that like anything that says like this is the one way or this is the one thing you don't
Mhm.
ever do is not going to be great advice. I feel like anyone who's telling you you have to do it a certain way like that's what works for them, but like that is never going to work for
Mhm.
everyone, you know? So,
Right.
yeah, no, I would really relate with that because it's just like
Yes.
I used to try and write every day and then edit every day until like the book was done, and I got so burned out on
Mhm.
it because it was just like I was pushing myself through situations like I shouldn't be pushing myself through, and um so yeah, I really like kind of chafe at the like you
Mhm.
have to write every day or else you're not good enough to write, and it's just like no, like people have written books like in there's as many different ways to write as there are writers who write,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
It's
It
so
is,
easy to get in that mindset, though.
yeah.
it is, yeah.
It is such a balance between knowing that if you don't get your butt in the seat and actually do the writing, your book isn't going to get
Right.
written. But it's also like the counterpart of give yourself grace.
Yes.
You're, the primary parent.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You have
Yep.
Right.
things going
Yes.
on.
Yes.
Like, there are so many things that are going to prevent you from writing, and there's nothing you can really do about that. So you just do your best,
Mhm.
right, when you can.
Right.
Write what is in your soul and just do your best from there. Will you be more prolific if you write every single day? Like, absolutely, you will. But sometimes you have to remember that there are seasons to your life, and this just,
Right.
isn't your season to do that. And maybe it never will be, but that doesn't mean that you're any less legitimate an author for it.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's the thing is we all already have imposter syndrome. So any advice telling us you're not a real writer is not going to be helpful. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. Well, where
Sweet.
can people find you online?
You can see my face on TikTok.
Mhm.
Um, my handle, I probably know it, but my handle is b.j.j.writes, like Writes. And then I'm on well, I shouldn't say I'm on Instagram. I have an Instagram. I'm not on it.
Mhm.
Um, and it's author underscore B.J.J. Lierz. And then I'm on Threads. I'm a little unhinged on Threads, but you're supposed to be.
Mhm.
Um, and then to actually purchase my books, you can get them anywhere you can purchase ebooks. I'm not
Mhm.
on Kindle Unlimited, but you can get my book through Kindle or Barnes and Noble online. You can order my book through your bookstores or through your library. I have a website, bjjliertzauthor.com, and I think that's it. That's where you can find
Yeah.
me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again. I know you have a busy schedule, so we really appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
And thank you to everyone who's listening along at home. And remember, there's more than one way up a mountain. If you are interested in catching our next show, it'll be releasing on Friday as usual. And if you're interested in being a guest on our show, you can find us on social media at The Tellnut Show or email us at thetellnutshow@gmail.com. Thanks again.
Bye.
Thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and liking. We appreciate all the support. Julia J.K. Allen is an author, editor, and coach and can be found at hijinksrudder.com.
Kirsha Fox is an author, avid reader, gamer, and mother to four, and you can find her at kirshafox.com. Thanks and see you next time.